The Galactic Empire celebrates the destruction of a small Terran fleet until they intercept a human transmission. It's not a surrender. It's not a threat. It's a correction. And it turns celebration into panic. Champagne vapor hissed through the air of the Imperial Council's high chamber. Dozens of alien generals toasted one another beneath banners stitched from conquered flags. 4 Terran fleets. 4. General Koresh bellowed, slamming his glass against the table. Obliterated in 12 hours. Let that be the end of Earth's arrogance, Chancellor Alun added, a smug curl in his voice. Now they'll remember their place. Assuming, said another, there's anyone left alive to remember it. Laughter followed, loud, arrogant, the kind of laughter that only comes from ignorance. Wrapped in victory. No one noticed the transmission until it was already inside their central. SYSTEM, a black screen. White text, no encryption, no trace. That wasn't the army. That was the outpost. The room fell silent. Koresh stood slowly. Play that again. It did. Same font, same spacing. Same dread. That wasn't the army. That was the outpost. The Empire's war historian, a pale, thin being with more years than hair, choked. Those units we destroyed weren't Earth's core forces. That's impossible, Alun snapped. They had dreadnoughts, planet breakers, defense formations, and every one of them was decades old, the historian whispered. Old tactics, rusted codes. They sent relics. They sacrificed them, Koresh muttered. Worse, the historian said. They watched, and a VD spike rippled through the room's atmosphere. The CUM station lit up again, a video feed. This time, human, male, officer's uniform. He looked directly into the lens, calm, not defiant. Not angry. Just sure. If you're hearing this. Congratulations, you destroyed the listening post. The real army hasn't arrived yet. You've just made them stand up. He blinked once. We told you not to knock. The feed ended. And across the Empire's border worlds, something began to happen. Sensor flares. Dozens of them. Simultaneously. No pattern. No formation. Just chaos wrapped in silence. Deploy recon. Find out what that was. Alun shouted, but it was already too late. Their long-range outposts began to vanish. Not explode. Vanish. Gone like smoke. No alarm. No resistance. Just silence. Koresh turned slowly toward the viewing deck. From across the black, dozens of human ships emerged. Not hulks. Not rusted relics. Clean. Geometric. Gleaming black. And they didn't fire. They just watched. Each ship held a single message on its hull in massive unpainted letters. Now that we're awake. The council room dropped to emergency lighting. Backup power. Everything else was being overwritten. One screen came back on. Text only. Final line. That was the outpost. This is the army. And that was before Earth even responded. The Crux variant dropped out of fold with full escort, 12 warships in tow, shields primed, guns hot. The border world Carthus Prime had gone dark 48 hours ago. A major relay. No contact. No debris. Just gone. Until now. Bring it up, Commander Selvig ordered. Full surface scan. The screen flickered, and Carthus was there. Still? Hold. Still spinning. But wrong. Where are the cities? His comms officer asked. The continent-wide urban belts were missing. No heat signatures. No movement. Only ruins, cold and precise like they hadn't been bombed but excised. I wanna. Boots down recon, Selvig growled. Now, shuttles deployed. 4 squads. Elite units. Trained for Terran terrain. They landed in silence and walked into something. Worse. Not destruction. Preservation. The ruins were untouched by flame or blast. No craters. No bodies. Just abandoned equipment. Dust on terminals. Half-eaten meals still. On metal trays. A world frozen mid-thought. It's like they vanished, a soldier whispered. No panic, no resistance. One stepped into a command hall. On the far wall, etched into the metal with something sharp. You kept asking what we'd do. We waited. AVD spike. Sir, came a voice through the comms. You need to see this. Selvig reached the recon officer's position in minutes. The team stood before a massive vault, door open, light still flickering inside. The room was circular. Dark walls. Rows of old monitors. Terran technology. Early models, but every screen displayed the same thing. Playback. Empire. War archives. They were watching us. Thousands of hours of footage. Imperial raids. Council propaganda. Civilian executions. Forced relocations. And each screen was labeled with a date and location. Precise. Documented. Unforgiving. Double quotes. They weren't listening. Selvig muttered. They were archiving. Then on the center screen, a human appeared. Old, male. Calm, his voice played, gravel and gravity in equal measure. Told you, this was not a conflict. It was patience. You poked, you laughed, you destroyed. Now you've met our outposts. We've already buried our dead. And now you'll bury yours. The screen shut off. And then every light in the vault lit up. Not just the command post. The whole planet, from orbit, the fleet watched as massive. Symbols flickered across the terrain, miles wide. Letters that only made sense from space. One word, awakened. Selvig's second officer shouted, enemy contact. Hundreds of signatures. No weapons charged. The AI cut in. They're not attacking. Then what the hell are they doing? They're arriving. Thousands of Terran ships. Each. Of different shape, age, and model. Some looked pre-war, others impossibly sleek. But none had their weapons raised, and yet, every commander on the Crux variant felt the same thing. Call on hopelessness. As if the war hadn't just started, it had already ended. And they were standing in the last quiet breath before history erased them. Final message pinned. From the surface of Carthus Prime. You destroyed 4 of our monitoring fleets. Not our soldiers. Not our colonies. Not our army. Just the watchers. Now the remembered ones are standing. A silence followed. Then, the planet's core signatures spiked. No detonation. Just brightness. Carthus didn't explode. It folded. Like a memory packed. And stored. Gone. No radiation. No remains. The ships vanished next. Not in jumps. Just ... Blinked. Out. The Crux variant sat in orbit of nothing. No world. No enemy. Only space. And the weight of realization that for centuries they hadn't been fighting. They'd been observed. And now the observers were done waiting. Selvig sat in his command chair. Numb. One word echoed in his mind. Not vengeance. Not conquest. Just correction. And this wasn't the start of a war. It was the reply to one. Omniscient had been awakened only 3 times in galactic history. It wasn't a machine. It was memory. An intelligence so vast it required 3 suns to power its thought cycles and 1 to anchor its emotional regulators. In its silence, it had watched the rise and fall of 50 empires. But even it had never seen anything like this. Subject, humanity. It stated as it flickered to life. The chamber surrounding it trembled. 12 observers stood behind energy shielding, watching as Omniscient unfolded its thought core. Lights pulsed across its neural lattice. The input, every traceable human movement across the last 500 years. Ship blueprints, diplomacy records, fold trails, radiation wakes, historical patterns, psychological logs. It read everything. Then paused. 4. 7 minutes. An eternity for Omniscient. And then it said, They waited too long. Clarify, General Atraxis demanded. They should have struck centuries ago, while humanity was still rising. We did strike. We neutralized their colonies, assassinated their prime tacticians, embargoed their tech lines. Yes, Omniscient replied, and in doing so, you trained them. You taught them loss, silence, discipline. Atraxis stepped closer to the shield. Are you telling me we forged their army? Not forged, Omniscient whispered, sharpened. AVD. Spiked out the AI slights pulsed. Then it projected an image. A Terran ship monolithic, brutal in its simplicity, hovering in orbit over a council moon. The ship did nothing, but the moon cracked. Anyway, emotion flooded the room. Even the AI. They're not responding in anger. Not conquest. They're answering. Answering. What? Omniscient turned. The question you asked the moment you first opened fire. What happens when the silent ones speak? No one moved, and then a new pulse came through the Omniscient core. Not data. Not command.poetry.human signal. Ancient. Terran language. A voice reading over static. We do not shout. We do not warn. We watch. We listen, and when our dead are forgotten, we walk forward. One of the observers blinked. That's not war doctrine. No, said Atraxis slowly. It's morning. And they had walked through it, blind, boots cracking bones they. Never recognized. Another alert appeared. System Varna 3. Had just disappeared. Omniscient projected the last recorded image. No battles. No breach. Just a single Terran Soud vessel passing through the system's edge. And in its wake, the stars went dark. They are not deleting systems, Omniscient stated. They are unwriting them. Atraxis gritted his teeth. How is that? Even possible? Unknown, it said. But I can tell you this. They are not finished. The screen behind Omniscient lit up with a Terran broadcast. This one, Lev, a woman stood in a cracked command bridge. Terran uniform, one eye gone, burn scars on her cheek. Calm voice. If you're receiving this, you're already late. The real army doesn't conquer. It reminds. You destroyed our peace. You laughed at our silence. Now you'll hear it. Everywhere. Behind her, a fleet loomed. Not in orbit. In fold. Frozen between. Stars waiting. Tens of thousands of ships. Newer. Sleeker. Marked with no flags. Just numbers. And every one of them was pointed outward. Toward the Empire. The woman looked directly at the screen. We don't want surrender. We want clarity. This was never a war. It was patience. And now, the ones who waited are no longer waiting. The feed ended. Omniscient's lights dimmed. My recommendation, it said at last, is surrender. Then you're broken. Atraxis growled. Omniscient turned slowly. No, I simply understand the question now. You asked if Earth was capable of war. You should have asked what they would become if we made them wait. Silence fell over the chamber again. But this time, it wasn't dread. It was understanding. They hadn't broken humanity. They had prepared it. And the ones who watched in silence had finally risen not as an army, but as a verdict. They gathered for one final meeting. 4 counselors. What remained of hundreds? 3 admirals. A single functioning AI, and silence thick enough to choke stars. The council. Dome of Ixer 12 flickered under low power. All emergency. Protocols failed. Every line of defense had already been bypassed, and yet no attack had come. They were being dismantled politely. No warning shots. No ultimatums. Just systems. Blinking out. Fleet sensors failing to recognize their own ships. Civilians. Waking up without memory of who governed them. Entire planets forgetting they were once part of an empire. And still not a single casualty. Not a single. Human soldier visible. Counselor. Varn turned to the others. We assume they destroy our fleets. Take revenge. They're not even interested in us. They're not erasing our army, said Admiral Ras, wiping sweat from his forehead. They're erasing our significance. The last functioning AI chimed in, voice dulled with lag. 12 more systems have reported knowledge collapse. Empire insignia gone. Galactic identifiers missing from central memory cores. Local governments assume independence. Then, we fight now, Ras said. We rally what's left. Counselor Drell laughed bitterly. Rally to what? No one remembers they served us. No one remembers we existed. AVD spike. Across the chamber, every light dimmed. One screen remained, and on it, Earth, rotating slowly, quiet, defiant only in its stillness. Then a line of text. The Empire was a loud memory. We made it silent. Then footage.notlive.notwar.notdestruction.conversion. On a fringe colony once loyal to the Empire, humans walked calmly through the cities. They handed out rations, helped fix broken tech. They repaired satellites. Using outdated wiring. No banners. No soldiers. No marching. Just presence. And as they passed, citizens followed. Not because of fear, because something in them remembered. Nothing else. Empire signs pulled down with no resistance. Murals replaced, schools retaught, history rewritten, not with blood, but with silence and care. This is indoctrination, spat Ras. No, said Drell, staring at the footage. This is clarity. The eye shuddered again. Incoming message. Terran network. Human designation, Delta Line 1. The screen shifted again. A face. The same human woman who had spoken to them from the bridge before. Calm, centered, burned. Older. Now she spoke as if the room weren't listening, only overhearing. We remember your dead more than you do. We know their names, their birthplaces, their regrets. And now they rest. She glanced down, then looked back up. We're not here to avenge. We're not here to build empires. We're here to bury them. AVD spike. The screen flickered, showing a massive field somewhere on a gray, wind-ripped moon. Rows upon rows of stones. Each with a name and a species. Not just human. Alien. Enemy. Double quotes. They attacked us. And we remembered. So we buried them too. Screen flicked again. This time to a massive data archive. Files once belonging to the Empire. Each file overwritten. Each planet that ever waged war against Earth. Now marked as unmapped. This is not punishment, she said. This is memory restored to silence. We asked you not to awaken the real army. Now they walk. One last line. We will not rule. You will simply vanish. And in time, no one will ask where you went. The screen blinked off. No static. Just peace. And for the first time in centuries, the Council understood what had arrived. Not vengeance. Oblivion. Omniscient had called it correction. This was worse. This was relevance. Collapse. Admiral Ras made his final decision 6 hours later. He gathered the last fleet of battle-ready cruisers, 57 ships, the might of the Empire's inner core, and launched a full-scale attack against the Terran line. They never saw the enemy. No. Ships returned. No explosions. Just silence. And in their wake, the space they occupied was marked with a holographic monument, unchanging, unguarded, floating. Above the void where the fleet once was, they came here to be remembered. We gave them rest. On a trade world once loyal to the Empire, an old farmer was asked by his child, "Didn't we have a flag before?" The farmer blinked, then shook his head slowly. "No," he said. "We've always been free." He couldn't remember the Empire. He couldn't remember the war, but he remembered the humans who had brought food when the sky cracked. He remembered the woman who fixed their solar panels and didn't say a word. He remembered the silence, and it felt more permanent than law. In the shattered council chamber. Only Varn remained. He watched the lights flicker out one by one. A final message crawled across the walls in soft blue lettering. The quiet ones walked. The loud ones forgot. And when you forget a name long enough, you forget what it ever ruled. And that was it. No great battle. No last stand. Just the weight of memory shifting. Until the Empire became exactly what it feared. A whisper in a species no longer listening, and Earth never responded again. Because it didn't need to. It had already written the ending.